Hey man, new year, new blessings. You understand me? We made it through a hell of a year. You understand? Anybody that ain't for you, anybody that's going against you, anybody that's got negative, you understand me, ain't bringing no positive vibe. You know, in the words of Gucci.
I heard a knock at the door. I mean, it was just me and my son. I heard beating at the door. Boom, boom. I'm like, before I even walked to the door, it hit me. I knew. I was like, oh, okay, okay. They was finna kick the in, so I was like, hold up. So right when I opened the door, it's AR-15, big flag lights, and me and my son face.
Find my phone, open the door, get out the car, I started running. You know what I'm saying? I get out the car, started running.
Were they chasing you? Or
nah,
they were gone?
I think they were gone. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't know. Like, right. I just know somebody came up beside the store shooting.
Who? Mo3.
I don't know who that is.
Let me say this first. Rainwater, my manager, it's not no street. Let me say it again. Rainwater, my manager, is not no street. He graduated high school and went to college, sir. Sir.
Man, whoever got the motherfucking freeway blocked off need to get y'all shit together, dog. God damn.
Yella Beezy thought he had made it out for good, but the past doesn't forget. The Dallas rapper, once flying high with viral fame, designer clothes, and a lifestyle that screams success, is now stuck behind bars, facing the biggest charge of his life. Beezy has been hit with capital murder for the deadly shooting of his longtime rival Mo3, and now there's talk that he could be headed straight for death row. His fame didn't save him this time, and the streets never let go that easy. Yella Beezy, real name Marks Conway, watched his entire life flip upside down when the cops rolled up to his house on a Thursday, ready to drag him into a storm he thought had passed. One minute he's flexing with chains and views, and the next he's locked up wearing prison blues. That viral lifestyle gone. Now it's bars, concrete, and a capital murder case that could end it all. Authorities believe Beezy was tied directly to the 2020 killing of Mo3, real name Melvin Noble, a murder that shook the Dallas rap scene to its core. For years, fans said their beef seemed too real, but no one expected this. Nobody thought police would actually connect Beezy to the hit. But now, they say the evidence paints a whole different picture. 4 years after that tragic shooting, Beezy's name is front and center in a chilling indictment. Prosecutors claim he wasn't just involved. They say he planned it all out. The documents accuse him of pulling the strings and bringing in 22-year-old Quan White to do the job. According to the case, Beezy wasn't just feuding with Mo3. He allegedly made sure his rival never came back. To make the murder happen, Beezy allegedly promised payment to seal the deal. On the morning of November 11th, 2020, Mo3 was driving north on Interstate 35E near Illinois Avenue when his life ended in a burst of bullets. Reports say a man, believed to be Quan White, chased him down, gunned him down in broad daylight, then dipped in a black Chevy Camaro like it was something out of a movie. Mo3 was rushed to the hospital, but the damage was way too severe. He didn't make it. Later, White was arrested and handed a 9-year federal prison sentence for weapons charges tied to that deadly shooting. Another suspect, Devin Maurice Brown Jr., also got cuffed in connection with the case. But even after those arrests, the streets kept asking, who really called the shots? That question finally got answered when Dallas authorities dropped the hammer on Beezy. The rapper was booked into Dallas County Jail and is still locked up, sitting behind bars on a massive $2 million bond. His arrest hit the rap game like a bombshell, confirming what fans had whispered for years. Mo3's murder wasn't random, and it wasn't just street beef, it was a full-on setup. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment thing, it was a cold-blooded hit. And for Beezy, this arrest just adds to his already messy legal record. Before the murder charge, he'd already been caught up in gun cases, an assault allegation, and even a child endangerment situation. Beezy's looking at the real possibility of never breathing free air again, but in Dallas, the streets don't forget anything. And neither does Mo3's mom, Nicole Williams Noble. She didn't hold back after the news broke, jumping on Facebook right after Beezy's arrest and calling it justice. She said she could finally feel some peace after years of pain. Her post blew up fast, packed with comments from fans and supporters who had been waiting a long time to see this moment. People were emotional. This wasn't just news, this was personal. While Mo3's family grieved and prayed for answers, Yella Beezy was out here acting like he had nothing to worry about. After the murder, he didn't lay low, didn't move cautious. Nah, he walked around like he was untouchable, like he really believed he was too slick to get caught. Even though whispers were flying all over the city and online about his possible role in Mo3's death, Beezy never switched up. He doubled down on the flashy life, hopping on Instagram to flex stacks of cash, iced out jewelry, and foreign whips like he was above it all. While people mourned MO3, Beezy was moving like nothing happened, like the streets weren't watching every move. Then came the bombshell. Dontrell White, one of MO3's alleged killers, got arrested. Suddenly, photos of him and Beezy hanging out started popping up, leaving folks questioning everything. People began asking just how close were they really? But Beezy, he played it cool, acting like it meant nothing. To make it even worse, at the top of 2021, Beezy posted a bold video ringing in the new year. In it, he said he was putting his haters in the dirt. That move had people heated, feeling like he was throwing shots right after the tragedy, and they weren't letting that slide. That statement? Yeah, most people took it as a sneaky jab aimed straight at MO3 and his fans. It wasn't just disrespectful. It felt like a cold message from someone who thought he already got away with everything. This wasn't regular rap beef. This was something darker. Beezy wasn't just flexing. He was moving like a man who truly believed he'd already won. But what he didn't realize? The walls were closing in fast.
Something happened to you, I get on the internet, oh, you feeling it. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'm on my way. I'm not from Philly. I'm going to Philly. Then I go to one of your hood stores. Bro, I don't got to do nothing. Or call no shot.
Just a month later, in February 2021, he got caught slipping. Bad. Undercover cops pulled him over and found 5 guns inside a bulletproof SUV. That's not regular rap star behavior. That's someone moving like they're ready for war. But instead of taking that moment as a wake-up call, Beezy kept pushing his luck. Authorities were clearly on him, but he still kept wilding out like nothing could touch him. And to make things worse, his old friend and MO3's longtime rival, Trap Boy Freddy, fanned the flames even more. He dropped diss tracks mocking MO3's death. No remorse, no filter. Their whole side acted like MO3's murder was just another part of the game. But now, with a capital murder charge on the table, everything's different. Beezy isn't looking at a slap on the wrist, he's staring down life in prison. Or possibly even worse. And while Dallas streets were never safe, prison might be an even more dangerous place for him. He's not just another inmate, he's a marked man. MO3 still has serious respect out here. And behind those walls, there's always someone ready to handle street justice. Beezy might have all the time in the world now to think about how a petty feud turned into his biggest loss his whole life. What's wild is that it wasn't always like this. There was a time when Yella Beezy and MO3 were on the same wave. Young stars from Dallas showing love, snapping pics, hitting the same stages. But once fame started hitting hard, so did the jealousy, the politics, and all the old street baggage they never really left behind. MO3 was sharp, street smart, and had a raw way of telling stories that hit hard. But with his fast come up in the rap game came new problems, and old ones resurfacing. He openly talked about how his rise brought out enemies he never saw coming. According to him, people from his past dragged their grudges into his new world, turning the rap game into a battleground. Even Baton Rouge legend Boozy Badaz ended up in the middle of it all. At first, Boozy was just vibing with the Dallas scene, showing love to the talent coming out the city. But he quickly took a special liking to MO3, popping up in vlogs with him, praising his skill, and even hopping on tracks with him. MO3 didn't take that lightly either. He showed major respect by calling himself MO3 Badaz, clearly honoring Boozy's influence. While that bond was growing, Yella Beezy was climbing his own ladder. His track, Trappin' Designer, was heating up the streets, and his name was buzzing all over. By the time he landed his Say Cheese TV interview, he confidently listed Dallas's top spitters, dropping names like himself, MO3, Trap Boy Freddy, Goyayo, and Lil Ronnie. At that moment, everything seemed cool, at least on the surface. But once the fame kicked into overdrive, the pressure started to expose the cracks. Things weren't as smooth as they looked. In a May 2017 interview with Say Cheese, MO3 kept it real. He said he and Beezy had a misunderstanding, but claimed they handled it like grown men. According to MO3, they met face to face in Dallas and squashed the drama. He even suggested it might have all stemmed from some miscommunication, maybe even something as petty as beef over a woman. Yella Beezy backed up the same story later on, saying a woman had stirred up all the drama between him and MO3. But even though both of them claimed the beef was squashed, it didn't take long for things to heat right back up. As their fame kept rising, so did the tension. The spotlight had them moving different, and people in the industry started noticing that MO3's fast rise wasn't sitting well with everyone around him. His growing success started creating real friction with other Dallas artists. Then everything took a dark turn. On May 27, 2017, MO3 pulled up to Club Phantom in Fort Worth for a concert. What should have been a regular night of music and vibes turned into chaos. Just before 4 a.m., gunshots rang out and the whole scene exploded into panic. A 31-year-old man named Hector Wilkins, known in the streets as Lil Half, got hit in the torso and later died in the hospital. Cops moved in fast, calling it a likely gang-related shooting, and soon after, MO3 got caught in the crosshairs. Authorities launched a dramatic early morning raid at his home and took him into custody. It was serious. In a later sit-down with Cam Capone, MO3 shared what went down during that raid, and he made it clear it was a terrifying experience he wouldn't forget. Police charged him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and he was hit with a $100,000 bond. Just like that, MO3 went from concert headliner to sitting in a cell, fighting for his freedom. MO3 didn't let the heat shake him. He kept his head high, even when things got wild. In a phone interview after the arrest, he actually joked about the whole situation. He said the cops treated him like a celebrity, letting him drive his own truck to jail and even stopping at McDonald's on the way there. But behind the laughs, things were getting heavy. MO3 later revealed that the case drained him financially. He spent over $90,000 on legal fees trying to clear his name, and it left him completely broke. He claimed the whole arrest was built on rumors and noise from social media, not solid facts. In the end, the case fell apart. Charges were dropped due to lack of real evidence. But by then, the drama between MO3 and other Dallas artists had hit a whole new level, and things were starting to pull in outsiders too. One person who got caught right in the middle? Comedian Roy Lee. Known for his unfiltered jokes and raw takes, Roy wasn't afraid to speak on the beef. He called it out for what it looked like, saying it felt like MO3 was up against the whole Dallas-Fort Worth scene. He used humor to shed light on the situation, but sometimes jokes hit harder than fists. Roy Lee and MO3 were tight, and Lee made it clear who he sided with. He didn't hold back when it came to Yella Beezy. He took shots at him in interviews, even mocking Beezy's famous line about being from Oak Cliff, America. Roy clapped back, saying, "Come on up so we can rob you." That comment had the streets buzzing, and Beezy definitely didn't take it lightly. Things escalated fast. In August 2017, a fight broke out between Roy Lee and Yella Beezy at the King of Diamonds nightclub. It wasn't just words anymore, this was real-life tension spilling into violence. After the dust settled, Roy Lee claimed Beezy and his crew jumped him, and he called for a fair one-on-one, demanding that they settle it man-to-man. In the months that followed, Roy Lee didn't let up. He kept coming for Yella Beezy with no filter. In interviews, he straight up called Beezy a bitch, questioned his Oak Cliff roots, and even crossed lines by threatening to involve people's mothers and grandmothers. His jokes turned savage, and the shots weren't just playful anymore. Beezy refused to fight him directly, and that only made Roy go harder. The beef wasn't just between rappers anymore, it had turned into a citywide circus, with Roy Lee throwing comedy grenades into the mix. The feud became a major talking point, showing just how divided the Dallas rap scene had become. Then in September 2018, things took a terrifying turn. Roy Lee was shot in the leg while chilling in a parking lot. At first, it seemed like he'd bounce back. He stayed active on social media, kept doing stand-up shows, and even joked about the shooting online like it was just another story to tell. But the situation got way more serious. A few weeks later, Roy developed complications from the bullet wound. Blood clots started forming. Tragically, he passed away from those injuries. The news hit hard, especially for MO3. In an emotional sit-down with No Jumper, MO3 opened up about the loss. He showed off a custom chain dedicated to Roy Lee and said straight up, he wasn't supposed to die like that, he was a comedian. You could feel the pain, it was personal. And even though nobody said it directly, the streets were whispering. Many believed Beezy had something to do with Roy's death. Then just days after Roy Lee's passing, on October 14th, 2018, karma came knocking. Yella Beezy was ambushed in a violent shooting in the early hours of the morning. While riding down the Sam Rayburn Tollway, Yella Beezy's night took a near-fatal turn. A car pulled up alongside his ride and unleashed over a dozen shots straight into his vehicle. Beezy got hit multiple times and somehow, against all odds, he survived. His injuries were serious, but he stayed conscious as first responders arrived. Authorities found him badly wounded but still breathing and rushed him straight to the hospital for emergency care. As soon as word hit the streets, social media blew up. Fans, rappers, and blogs were all over it. Some offered prayers, but others weren't so sympathetic. The streets were buzzing with talk that this was retaliation for Roy Lee's death. With everything that had been building in Dallas, people were connecting the dots, and it was looking more and more like the city's rap scene had turned into a war zone. Later, Beezy spoke about the shooting during an interview on The Breakfast Club. He said he noticed something was off that night. He had just left a club and saw suspicious cars trailing him. He got that gut feeling something was about to go down. But by the time he realized it was real, it was too late. Gunfire exploded and Beezy found himself fighting for his life. While Beezy recovered, MO3 kept quiet. He refused to speak on the shooting during interviews, dodging any mention of the incident. It was clear he wasn't going to feed into the drama publicly, but behind the silence, tension was still building. Then in July 2019, the rivalry flared up again. Both MO3 and Yella Beezy were booked to perform at the Unruly Citizens Festival at the Ford Center. But when MO3 pulled up to the venue, he got blocked at the door by the police. Officers told him he couldn't even come inside. Meanwhile, Beezy had no problem. He hit the stage as planned. MO3 was heated. He jumped on Instagram Live right away, calling out what he saw as clear disrespect. In the heated Instagram Live video, MO3 didn't hold back. He straight up accused Yella Beezy and his crew of calling in law enforcement to block him from hitting the stage at the festival. To MO3, it looked like they were using police power to shut him out and keep all eyes on Beezy. He was furious, claiming it was another calculated move to stop his shine. But Yella Beezy clapped back fast. He laughed off the accusations and called MO3's rant nothing more than a desperate reach for clout. According to Beezy, MO3 wasn't even on the lineup. "Man, stop playing," Beezy said, brushing it all off. "Ain't nobody on the same flyer as me." He acted like the whole situation was just noise. Then Trap Boy Freddy jumped in, adding more gas to the fire. Freddy, who had long been in Beezy's corner, mocked MO3 for allegedly faking an arrest just to get attention. "Look at the flyer," Freddy laughed. "He want to be relevant." The clowning didn't stop, and MO3 wasn't having it. Just 2 days after the festival drama, Beezy popped up on Vlad TV. When Vlad brought up MO3's name, Beezy didn't even acknowledge him. He just smirked and said, "I don't know who that is." That one line hit hard. It wasn't just shade, it was straight disrespect. And MO3 took that personally. That was the last straw. MO3 went from sending subliminals to dropping a direct diss. He fired back with a track titled "Let Me Find Out," where he named Beezy and made it clear. This wasn't rap competition anymore, it was real beef. By this point, the feud wasn't just a rap rivalry, it had exploded into all-out war. And the violence didn't just stay between MO3 and Yella Beezy, it started spilling over to the people closest to them. In January 2020, things took a nasty turn when MO3's manager Brandon Rainwater was viciously attacked outside the V-Live strip club in Dallas. Surveillance footage caught it all. Yella Beezy and his entourage chasing Rainwater down, dragging him to the ground and beating him right there in the middle of the street. The attack was brutal. Rainwater ended up with a dislocated hip and had to be hospitalized. He didn't just take the beating and move on. He later hit Beezy with a $1 million lawsuit for damages, turning the street beef into a courtroom battle. MO3 didn't stay quiet either. He jumped on Instagram Live after the incident and clowned Beezy and his crew for jumping someone who, in his words, wasn't even built like that. He mocked them for going after a scary man instead of facing their real issues like men. The disrespect kept stacking up and the tension was officially out of control. That attack on Rainwater showed everyone that the situation had crossed the line. It wasn't about music anymore. It was about power, pride, and revenge. And it was clear that something darker was coming. Then the unthinkable happened. On November 11th, 2020, everything came to a deadly end. MO3 was ambushed and murdered in broad daylight right on one of Dallas's busiest highways. That morning, MO3 was cruising down Interstate 35 near the Dallas Zoo, reportedly after leaving a woman's house, completely unaware that two killers were tailing him the whole time. In a black Chevy Camaro, they'd been tracking his every move, waiting for the perfect moment. This wasn't random. This wasn't road rage. This was a hit. And their message was clear. MO3 wasn't supposed to make it out alive. As MO3 headed down the highway, the Camaro rolled up beside him, and that's when the trap got sprung. It was a strategic move, carried out with chilling precision. Realizing something wasn't right, MO3 tried to make a move. He swerved to the right and slammed the brakes, probably trying to shake them off. But on a packed freeway in broad daylight, there was nowhere to run. Dashcam footage would later capture the final terrifying moments of his life. Instead of speeding away, MO3 opened the driver's side door and bolted toward the passenger side. Likely trying to grab something from the glove box, probably a weapon, but he never got the chance. In a flash, a masked gunman jumped out of the Camaro, assault rifle in hand, and stormed toward him. MO3 made a split-second call to run. He He took off down the freeway, weaving between moving cars as drivers slammed their brakes, desperately trying not to hit him or the shooter, but the assassin was too fast. Gunfire lit up the freeway. MO3 was struck 9 times. He collapsed right there on the pavement. The masked shooter ran back to the Camaro, hopped in, and vanished down the road, leaving MO3 bleeding out in the middle of traffic. For minutes, his body lay motionless as stunned drivers sat frozen in shock. A rising star gunned down in broad daylight. Drivers slammed on their brakes. Traffic froze. Witnesses were in shock, watching it all unfold in real time. As MO3 lay on the pavement, a few brave civilians rushed over, trying desperately to help. One bystander even started giving him CPR, hoping to bring him back, but it was too late. The damage was done. From above, news helicopters circled the scene, capturing haunting footage of MO3's lifeless body sprawled across the freeway. Police locked the area down as more and more sirens flooded in. The city had just witnessed a public assassination, and the rap world would never be the same. Soon, local news outlets were all over it, breaking the story wide open. MO3, only 28 years old, was gone. Fans were heartbroken, his family devastated, and the industry was shaken. What started as diss tracks and petty jabs had exploded into deadly warfare, and one of Dallas's brightest voices had been silenced in the middle of the street. But the story didn't stop there. If anything, it got even darker. Just minutes after the shooting, while the sirens were still screaming and MO3's body hadn't even been cleared from the scene yet, Trap Boy Freddy posted a video to his Instagram story. In it, he was stuck in traffic, the same traffic jam caused by the murder. In the background, police sirens, flashing lights. Freddy casually said freeway blocked out, as if nothing had just happened. It didn't take long for people to do the math. His location? Just minutes away from where MO3 had been gunned down. The timing was wild, and fans immediately called it out. Some took it as a slick way of taunting MO3's death, throwing salt on a fresh wound. To make it worse, Freddy also started posting tributes to his own fallen homies right after MO3's murder. The internet lit up, and the energy from his rivals was cold-blooded. Trap Boy Freddy, who had already sparked controversy with his traffic jam video, later posted that it was time to celebrate. That one line sent shockwaves. People couldn't believe how bold the disrespect had gotten. Meanwhile, Yella Beezy went live on Instagram, but it didn't go how he thought. His comment section exploded with fans demanding answers. People flooded the chat, asking if he had anything to do with MO3's death. Instead of addressing it head-on, Beezy played it off, pretending like he didn't know what anyone was talking about. He dodged every question like nothing had happened. Then came Go Yayo, another Dallas rapper with ties to the same circle. He chimed in after someone posted on Facebook saying they wished he had been the one to get killed instead of MO3. Go Yayo's reply, "I'm gonna live forever," followed by the chilling hashtag #murdergang. It was clear. He wasn't mourning, he was mocking. Even though there was no direct evidence linking Beezy, Trap Boy Freddy, or Go Yayo to MO3's murder, their reactions spoke volumes. The lack of sympathy, the celebration, the trolling, it all painted a grim picture. Fans didn't need court documents. To them, the disrespect alone was proof enough. And that's when the city started to explode. Within days, Dallas turned into a war zone. Reports surfaced claiming up to 8 people had been killed in the wave of violence that followed MO3's death. Some tried to say the shootings were unrelated, but nobody was buying that. The streets believed it was revenge, plain and simple. Even Boozy, MO3's mentor, collaborator, and close friend, got caught in the chaos. He had traveled to Dallas to attend a vigil in MO3's honor, but while he was there, he got shot in the leg. The shooting of Boozy sent a chilling message across Dallas. Nobody was safe, not even those just showing up to pay respects. While Boozy survived the hit, it was clear the violence had reached a dangerous new level. The streets were on fire, and the chaos wasn't slowing down. As pressure mounted from the public and MO3's name flooded headlines, the Dallas Police Department was forced to move fast. They needed answers, and they needed them quick. Then came the breakthrough. On December 10th, 2020, authorities made their first major arrest in MO3's murder. The suspect? A 22-year-old up-and-coming rapper named Quan Dontrell White, better known in the streets as FGG Banzo Bling. White was taken into custody and officially charged in connection with MO3's assassination. Court documents later revealed that White had been caught thanks to a tipster who came forward anonymously, combined with some hard evidence, likely from cell phone data, that put him at the scene of the crime. But the wildest part? White wasn't exactly low-key in the days leading up to the murder. Just 2 days before MO3 was killed, White posted a bold pic on Instagram. He was holding stacks of cash and a rifle. The caption, "He put a bag on him, now I'm up." Looking back, it felt like a straight-up confession, hinting at a payout for a deadly job. And if that wasn't enough, just 2 weeks after the murder, White was spotted again, this time flaunting a fat wad of cash at a jewelry store. Surveillance footage caught him mid-flex, and it didn't take long for investigators to connect the dots. A car matching the getaway vehicle seen in MO3's murder was tracked back to a location tied directly to White. Even behind bars, Quan White, aka FGG Banzo Bling, was still chasing clout. From his jail cell, he previewed new music with lyrics hinting at spraying bullets from a car, lyrics that felt way too close to the real-life murder he was locked up for. But what really had people talking wasn't just the music, it was his connection to Yella Beezy. Right after White's arrest, old photos started surfacing online, showing him hanging out with Beezy like they were tight. The street saw it as more than just coincidence. These weren't blurry shots or random encounters, these looked like genuine links. And with White being the main suspect in MO3's assassination, the internet couldn't ignore it. Despite the storm brewing around him, Yella Beezy didn't seem fazed. As 2020 wrapped up, he hopped on Instagram to celebrate the end of the year, dropping a chilling caption, "Putting my haters in the dirt." Coming so soon after MO3's murder and White's arrest, the post hit different. It didn't help his case. If anything, it fueled even more speculation that he knew way more than he was saying. Then, just a month later, White did the unthinkable. He gave an interview from jail. He didn't sound worried. In fact, he brushed off the charges like they were part of the game, saying, "This is just what comes with being a gangster." But what really shocked people was what he revealed next. White said his brother, Ducky P, had told him how famous he'd gotten since being named in the case. Before the murder, his Instagram had less than 1,000 followers. Now, it had blown up to over 18,000. When Quan White was asked if he was finally ready for all this fame, he just laughed. No remorse, no hesitation, just a grin. And even though he played tough, White denied having any real connection to Yella Beezy. But the authorities weren't buying it, and they definitely weren't finished. On April 23rd, 2021, the investigation took another major turn. Police announced a second arrest. Devin Maurice Brown, another Dallas native, now officially charged in connection with MO3's murder. Brown wasn't some random name. Reports suggested he had his own personal beef with MO3, possibly tied to a woman, adding a whole new layer to the story. Detectives revealed that in the hours leading up to the ambush, Brown had been contacting multiple people, seemingly tracking MO3's every move. On top of that, phone records showed heavy communication between Brown and Quan White, backing up suspicions that the two were working together and planning the hit like a mission. Then came the raid. When police stormed Brown's home, they found it all. An illegal AK-47 stashed in his closet, $3,200 in cash, and a stash of illegal substances. With that, the puzzle started to lock into place. The investigators were finally confident they had their key players. But the wildest twist came 4 years later, when the story that had haunted Dallas took a dramatic turn. With Yella Beezy now arrested and hit with a capital murder charge, fans who had long pointed fingers felt vindicated. The internet lit up. People who had suspected Beezy all along now watched as the legal system finally caught up. And more importantly, it looks like MO3's family might finally be getting the justice they've been waiting for. If you made it this far, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss a drop. Don't forget to share this video and leave a comment below. Do you think Beezy was really the mastermind behind it all? We'll catch you in the next one. Stay tuned for more wild stories straight from the streets.